Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Harry's Highlights. On this video, we're going to talk about the book Mastery. Now, this is all about mastering skills, understanding that mastery can be cultivated. And I really like the idea of that because it means that it's not based on talent, it's based on persistence. So given enough time, you can master anything. See, they say it takes up to 20,000 hours for you to achieve mastery. They define mastery as when your intuition becomes better than logic. So even though logically it might make sense to do this, your intuition is telling you not to, and it turns out that your intuition was right because in this situation it applied differently. That's when you're at a level of master, where you know the topic even better than what logically would explain it. And what I like about that is that anybody can get to that level. That level is possible for anybody regardless of skill set, regardless of talent, regardless of anything they do, just based on time. Putting in enough deliberate hours and you can then achieve mastery in whatever it is you choose, whatever field it may be. Now, one of the biggest tips with mastery is understand, find a mentor. See, they can teach you things in hours what you could teach yourself in days. So that means you can compound your results and start to achieve mastery or get yourself much closer to mastery much quicker and faster than if you're doing it by yourself. It's about learning from other people's mistakes. Compound their success with yours so you can reach higher levels faster and then eventually streamline the process again, and it's a refinement. They've refined it, you've refined it, the next person you teach refines it, so eventually it becomes such a well-oiled machine that almost anybody can just slot themselves in, follow this recipe, and they'll produce a result of master in less and less time. So, but you also have to remember is that you don't know everything and you never will. And when you can understand that to its fullest, understand that you'll always be learning. Even once you reach the level of master, you will still have things you can learn. And everyone else behind you and in front of you will also be learning as well. So don't think just because the other people that have been doing it for longer than you know everything. They absolutely don't. They will still be learning just as you'll still be learning, just as the people you teach will still be learning. So it's about understanding that you've got a limited amount of time. So allow others to compound your success. Learn from them, and then you learn as you teach others, and then as all that learning happens, your success will compound because you'll be utilizing all the mistakes that they've made. You don't make them. You'll understand the mistakes that you've made as you teach somebody else, and that'll help you learn to understand things better as well. And then the people that you teach will have a compounding of both of your mistakes, your mentor's mistakes, their mentor's mistakes, and it's about passing this on through from master to student, and then you eventually get to a point where you'll understand it so incredibly well that everything will be like a second nature. You no longer have to consciously think about it, but you become unconsciously competent. They talk about the 4 levels of learning where it's unconsciously incompetent, consciously incompetent, consciously competent. Then eventually we get to unconsciously competent, where you are at a level where you no longer have to think about things anymore. You're at a level where you can basically do it without thinking. Much like how, you have a system you might get in the car, you put in your seatbelt, turn it all on, you're no longer thinking about it, it's all just unconscious thought. So it's like when you brush your teeth, sometimes you're just doing this thinking about other things, it all just becomes unconscious. That's that level of mastery, and it can happen and achieve it by simply putting in enough hours. See, but you also have to remember is you never want to fall into the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is where an amateur assesses their abilities as higher than reality. So essentially where they basically have such a big head about things or grow such an ego and think that they're so great that they're far overestimating their abilities and themselves in comparison to what they actually are. See, a master is also humble. They're always humble and always understanding that even though they are so good at this that their intuition has become better than logic, they still don't have this arrogance or ego to them where they think that they just know better in every situation. They're always open to understanding and learning more. Great saying is that the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And that statement is so true because you understand when you get to a certain level that there is so much more out there. And that a lot of the time, all the information you've acquired and gathered, you're just scratching the surface on just how much there really is there to learn, and you couldn't learn it in one lifetime. But over multiple lifetimes, everything you learn, you can then pass it on to your student, who can then pass it on to their student, and eventually you can have such a refined process and have such a large amount of knowledge all distilled into an easy to understand way that the students that start learning this will start reaching mastery so quickly, and it'll be such a well-oiled machine that we'll start to produce students of such an incredible level that will be pushing boundaries and ceilings that have never been seen before. And that's how you see these, in certain things, how you see these people that are achieving so much more than the master ever did, purely because of this refinement process and this compounding of success and results. But understanding though that at the same time, even if you have a well-refined system, to reach mastery, so not just acquired knowledge, but a skill set of your intuition has become second nature and has become better than logic, still takes the required deliberate hours of 20,000. 20,000 hours put in deliberately into this topic, to the point where it's no longer thought about and you're able to assess the situation that goes against what logically would make sense, because you've seen the situation through experience, you've seen and understand this and seen similar situations that you can predict and understand where this would possibly go. And getting to that level takes a minimum of 20,000 hours. It is, it's above the 10,000 hour rule in becoming an expert, it's a master. So not only do you know your topic through and through, you know it so well, you no longer think about it, and it becomes second nature, and where you start to defy rules that you'd normally apply here because of your experience in it and understanding it. And that's the level of mastery that everyone can get to. That's what I loved about understanding this book. What it's all about mastery is understanding that anything you do, whether it be riding unicycles, whether it be oceanography, whether it be becoming an actor, you can become a master at it so long as you put in the required amount of hours. That means you're not limited or capped based on your talent or based on your background or your financial situation. You're purely limited by your personal persistence. The amount of deliberate practice that you put into this will define your success at becoming a master. The more hours you put in, the faster you can reach the mastery. The more that you, and when you reach that level of mastery, you then will understand how all those hours added up and compound to the point where it became so undeniable that you're a master at this. So understanding that, but one of the fastest ways to do that is not just doing things by yourself, but finding a mentor. And having that mentor teach you things in hours, what you would teach yourself in days, will compound your success so much quicker and so much faster that you'll reach that level so much easier than what you would if you're doing it by yourself. But then also understanding you're never going to know everything. That you've got to keep moving through it. You've got to keep understanding it's a journey, it's not a destination. That you're going to have to continually work at it. But also, compounding your time, because you have a limited amount of time. Understanding that, that you've got such a finite amount that, there's only so much you can do. The best thing you can do is have multiple people have made those mistakes, learn from their mistakes, so you don't waste unnecessary time making those mistakes as well. And then never falling into that Dunning-Kruger effect where your ability is, you judge your ability higher than what the reality is of it. Understanding that just because you seem good at something doesn't mean you're perfect at it yet, or that you are beyond certain levels and understandings of things. It's going to take time, no matter what. So I guess to really summarize quickly all of that there, we're talking, what I loved about it was that, what I spoke about there was that mastery is something that's cultivated. It can be achieved by anyone based on putting in those hours. 20,000 hours to be specific. It's the minimum amount of hours you need to put in to become a master. That's what those studies have shown. That's what studies have proven that it takes to get there. Fundamental, and to understand mastery is where your intuition is better than logic. That it becomes difficult to almost explain because you just understand it based on feeling and based on experience. Then understand it fundamental to compound your success, compound your results, and get there faster, because they'll teach you in hours what it'll take you days to learn. Then talking about that you're never going to know everything, so always be humble. It's a journey, not a destination, that you're always going to have to work at it. Then thinking about that, because you have a limited amount of time, learn from other people's mistakes. And that way, you'll save time on mistakes that other people have already made for you. Never fall into that Dunning-Kruger effect and assess your ability higher than what your reality is. Always be open-minded in that, and never have an ego or thinking that you've arrived, that there's always more to learn. Now, we'll be making a lot more of these videos for this training series to help you with personal development goals. So that's all for now though. So until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most, and I look forward to hearing more from you and sharing more from you in the next episode of Harry's Highlights.